Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I make my collards. Now when I was younger, I never used to like collards because I thought that they were bitter, slimy, and disgusting. Now I make my collards so that they're none of those things, pack a punch, and are pretty damn good. So I got a huge bunch of collards from the grocery store. You know how they sell them in huge bundles. I'm going to take a few at a time and chop them. I take the ends off, just like the last inch, throw those to the side, and then I start cutting them down. It really does not have to be perfect. After I cut them down one way, I cut them another way. Not too small, but not too big. This is good enough. Also, I thoroughly washed my collards. I soaked them in a full sink of water, and I rinsed them 3 times after that. So I thoroughly washed my collards. They're still a little wet, but you know what? That really does not matter. They'll still taste the same. They're going to cook for like an hour anyway. So now I'm just trying to cut down all of the collards that I got from the store. Remember, cut the first inch of the ends off, and then cut them one way, and then cut them the other way. And then throw them into your bowl. I got a turkey leg from Whole Foods. I really like to make my collards with a turkey leg. So now what I'm going to do is, I have my stove set to high heat. I'm going to add some oil, vegetable oil really, and I'm going to sear the turkey leg on all 4 sides. I want the turkey leg to be very dark when I'm done. So this is going to take a few minutes. Now that my smoked turkey leg has been seared on all sides, I'm going to go ahead and put it on a plate. I have 1 onion. I'm going to add 1 onion chopped. Alright, now I'm going to add the garlic. I chopped 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to stir it around just a little. And I'm going to add my collards. I'm going to cook my collards a little bit until they get a little bit wilted. Like I want them to be soft. So I'm going to go ahead and cook my collards down. I lowered my temperature to medium heat when I put the onions and garlic and collards in, by the way. Your temperature should not still be on high. Oh, they're cooking down very well. We're just going to cook them for a little bit more. Oh yeah, this is perfect. In a minute, yep. Okay, now we're gonna add about a half a cup of white wine to remove the rest of the brown bits from the bottom. For now, we are only going to add 1/2 can of chicken broth. I usually only use half a can of chicken broth anyway. I more so use more white wine and vinegar. So now that we've added the chicken broth, we're going to go ahead and pour some vinegar in. About 1/4 a cup. Apple cider vinegar, by the way. Alright, so just to add more liquid, we're going to add a little bit more wine. Okay, so now I'm going to put my drumstick, my turkey drumstick, back in the pot, and I'm going to bring it to a boil, and it'll cook for about an hour. It'll take about an hour to cook. Let's put the top on, and we're going to bring it to a boil. Now that our collards have come to a boil, we're going to turn it down a few notches so it continuously simmers for the next hour. Now that the collards have been simmering for a good 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to do a little cheat just to move it along. I'm going to start pulling the meat from the bone so that way the meat cooks faster, because there are not that many collards, because this ain't Thanksgiving and I am not feeding a lot of people. So I'm just going to start pulling the meat from the bone. Remember, with turkey legs, there's always a lot of bones in that leg, but we'll pull them out at the end. Right now, we're just going to separate the meat from the bone a little bit, so that way it cooks faster. Now that I've pulled the meat from the bone with my cheat step, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more liquid. If your liquid is running out, add just a little bit more chicken broth. But remember, if you add more chicken broth, add some more white wine and add a couple more splashes of vinegar too, because if you only add chicken broth, it will dilute the flavors, you know what I mean? And we want a punch with our collards. We don't want the regular old collards. We want a kick to them, you know? So now, I'm going to mix it around, and I'm going to go ahead and let it cook for about, I don't know, another 20, 30 minutes or so, and we'll see how the meat's doing, and we'll see how the collards are doing. Alright, they've been cooking for about an hour, so now we're going to take the bone out. But first, before we take the bone out, we're going to take the remainder of the meat off the bone and put it aside. I'll get the rest in a minute. I don't waste good turkey leg meat. And you see how all of it just fell off the bone? We're just going to separate it a little bit. And we're going to have to go ahead, because a turkey leg has a lot of little tiny bones in the turkey leg. We're going to have to go ahead and we're going to pick out those little tiny bones. Okay, it's like a scavenger hunt. You got to get in there. You got to pick out all the tiny bones so nobody chokes on them. So take a couple minutes picking out the bones. There's another one. All right, now that I've gotten all of the bones out, I want you to notice how there's just a little bit of liquid at the bottom. That is perfect. Absolutely, that's how I like it. But you don't want it to be completely dry. If you're cooking it and you notice you have no more liquid, you need to add some liquid immediately. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna season it with salt. I season it at the end, because sometimes if you season it at the beginning, it'll be way too salty. So I like to season it at the end. Now I'm gonna add some pepper, and we need a pinch of sugar to take the flavor away from the bitterness, right? Just a pinch. You don't need sugary collards, okay? Just a pinch will do it. All right. Oop, forgot a bone. Okay, so now we are going to taste it and see if we need to add anything else, right? It doesn't need that much more. However, they're a little bit bitter, so I'm going to add, let's just sprinkle more of sugar. And then I'm going to touch it up with just a little bit of salt and pepper, because they're already highly flavored with the wine and vinegar, so we really didn't need to do too much to it. All right, I'm gonna put them on a plate to serve, and we are ready to eat them. This is what my collards look like once I've plated them. If you like my collard recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.